subarashii seijaku. 時間も光すらもいてつく世界.
Welcome all you lovely people. In this installment of Watch Sailor Stars Learn Japanese, we are going to look at how Neherenia speaks Japanese. Also, how mysterious disembodied voice, spoilers, speaks Japanese. When we last left our heroes, Chibiusa was about to join the group because she's going to go to the 30th century. So the scene with Neherenia is bookended by two little scenes with Chibiusa and the girls. But the bulk of this is how Neherenia speaks Japanese. And I'm really excited because Neherenia is my favorite Sailor Moon villain. So let's get started.
Mina-saaan!
お待たせ。
Mamoru-san! どうしたんだい、ちびうさちゃん。リュックなんかしょっちゃって。
So Diana says, Mina-saaan! And I translated that as, oh ladies! Mina-san, everyone, polite. But nobody says everyone! People don't talk like that, so oh ladies! Mamoru says, omatase. Again, this is usually translated as sorry to keep you waiting, but that's kind of literally what it means, but generally speaking, if you're not the first person to arrive at a location, you're kind of by definition late in Japan, and they take, tardiness is a really big deal over there, so when they say sorry I'm late, it's more like we would just say hi in Western culture, so I translated that as hi everyone. Rei says Mamoru-san, so that would be like hi Mamoru, or Mamoru, what are you doing here? And then Mako-chan says, Doushitan'dai? So we went over before, Mako-chan kind of speaks like this sometimes, especially with people who are kind of below her in status. Not necessarily in a bad, bossy sort of way, but in a kind way to people that are a little lower in status than her. Doushitan'da would be like a simple, plain way of asking what's up or what's wrong. But adding that I at the end, dai, it kind of softens it. I'm like, oh, what's going on? What's up? Makes it a little softer and friendlier. So, どうしたんだい, Chibiusa-chan? What's up, Chibiusa? Ryukku nanka shochatte. So there's a lot of small tsus in here because we're slangy. Shotte is the te form of a verb which means to put something on your back like a backpack. So since she's using the chau or chatte form of that verb, it means that you're either doing the verb completely or to regrettable results. And in this case, she's like, ryukku nanka, something like a ryukku, a backpack. She's kind of being friendly and slangy and little does she know that Chibiusa is about to leave.
さあ、みんなにご挨拶は？スモールレディこと月のうさぎは今日ダイアナと一緒に30世紀に帰ります。
So Usagi joins her future daughter and husband and whispers to Chibiusa, さあ、みんなにご挨拶は? So goaisatsu or aisatsu is it can mean lots of things. It can mean a speech. It can mean just a greeting or a farewell, like hello or goodbye or thank you or nice to meet you. But in this case, it kind of means a speech or an announcement. So I translate it as, so you had an announcement? Like she's kind of nudging her, reminding her, hey, you came here to give everyone a little announcement. And then Chibiusa says, yeah. Small lady koto, tsuki no usagi. So small lady is one of her aliases and tsuki no usagi is her real name. So small lady koto is kind of like small lady aka tsuki no usagi. AKA Chibiusa, but her real name is Tsukino Usagi, just like Usagi. But small lady, otherwise known as Usagi Tsukino, wa, as for me, 今日ダイアナと一緒に30世紀に帰ります. This is Japanese 101. Like if you've taken beginning Japanese, if you've been through my Japanese for Beginners series, you probably know what this means. 今日, today, Diana to, with Diana, 一緒に, so together with Diana. 30世紀, seiki is century, so 30th century, に帰ります, return. So today, I'm going back to the 30th century with Diana. And then the girls go, eh? Which is, what? And then we cut to Nehelenia. I love her so much. She's so pretty and so awesome, and I named one of my pet rats after her. Anyway.
素晴らしい静寂。時間も光すらもいてつく世界。
Neherenia is lying down, floating in her nothingness, and she says, subarashii seijaku. So subarashii, it means like fantastic, splendid, magnificent. And then seijaku is like peaceful silence, so just silence. And I translated that as, what beautiful silence. Jikan mo, hikari sura mo, itetsuku sekai. So, jikan mo, hikari sura mo, this sura mo thing is even. So, both time, jikan mo, hikari sura mo, and even light. So, neither time nor light, or both time and even light. Itetsuku is to freeze, sekai. So, a world that freezes, itetsuku sekai. A world in which time and even light are frozen. That doesn't sound very poetic, so I translated that as time and light itself are frozen still here. And maybe in post I changed that. I struggled a bit with her translation because I wanted to make her sound really cool. Because she does sound very cool and a little more poetic in Japanese. So yeah, she's kind of being like, she has this sort of narrator vibe to her almost, or this poet sort of vibe to the way she speaks, like subarashii seijaku. She's not saying kore wa subarashii seijaku da or des, or she's not adding any particles. It's just very like plain and poetic-y. Subarashii seijaku, beautiful silence. Jikan mo hikari sura mo itetsuku sekai. And there's like, again, there's no desu, no da, no yo, no ne, like no particles at the end. It's just, it kind of almost sounds like a narrator or like a poet.
永遠の美しさを保つこの世界こそ、わらわにふさわしい場所なのかもしれぬ。
永遠の美しさを保つこの世界こそ。So, 永遠の美しさ, 美しさ is beauty, 美し is beautiful. If you change that e to sa, it becomes beautifulness, or in good English, beauty. So, 永遠の is eternal, eternal beauty, 永遠の美しさをtamotsu, so tamotsu is like to preserve. So, preserve eternal beauty, この世界こそ. So, この世界, this world, is a world that in which eternal beauty, 永遠の美しさ, is preserved. Tamotsu. Koso. So this koso, actually I covered this in my Black Lives Matter video like last year. It was one of the ways that Black Lives Matter was translated into Japanese. It was kokuji no inushi koso. But anyway, this koso is, it's often translated as is the very thing that. So ex koso would be X is the very thing that something. That's one way of looking at it. In speech, it's kind of like, it is because that I am in this world. Like this indeed is the world. It's kind of like emphasizing, this, because this world is so quiet and because time stops and there's no light even here, because, with the emphasis on that, because the world is this way. That's that koso. Because the world is this way, warawa ni fusawashii basho nano kamoshirennu. Warawa. We have this very old way of saying me, I, warawa. It's very regal old Japanese. So in modern Japanese, that would be like watashi ni fusawashi. So X ni fusawashi means it is suitable for X or worthy of X. So warawa ni fusawashi, most suitable for me, divine old me. Basho, so a place, a basho that is fusawashi, suitable for warawa, me. So this world, because it is so quiet and frozen in time and no light even reaches here, and because it preserves my eternal beauty, this world is probably kamoshirenu, the most suitable place for me. Now, this nano kamoshirenu, kamoshirenai in modern Japanese, but in older Japanese, and also just villains tend to talk like this a lot, regal, royal people tend to talk like this a lot. Neherenia-sama is a royal person, so she says kamoshirenu instead of kamoshirenai. And then the mysterious disembodied voice. I know who it is, and most of you probably know who it is, but in case you haven't seen this season yet, mystery voice calls out and says,
koukinaru jō yo.
誰だ?
この狭い闇の中にあなたの美しさを留めておくのは惜しい。
So this voice also speaks in a very regal manner. Koukinaru. Anytime you change an adjective to like something or another, naru, it just sounds very regal and it's more poetic and like old sounding Japanese. But yeah, very, very, very divine, regal sounding. And koukinaru, it means like divine, noble, regal. Jō, we went over this in, I think, the last episode of this series, Watch Sailor Stars Learn Japanese, but Jō means queen. It's Jo, that's the character for female, the kanji for female, and then O, which is a long held out O, long vowel, O, if you write it out in hiragana, means king. So female king means queen, basically, Jo, and it's like 3 O vowels, like right after each other, but there's a little whoop in it, so it's Jo, not Jo. So, koukinaru jo yo, and this yo at the end is like she's addressing her, like, oh. So I translated it as, oh, queen divine. Again, she's sounding very poetic and regal. This is a very regal, poetic conversation these two ladies are having. Neherenia says, dareda. So now she's being a little more plain, a little less romantic. She was being all like poetic and, oh, this beautiful world that is so quiet and makes me beautiful forever. Ah, it is indeed the best world for a queen like me. And then dareda is more like this plain, rude way of like, who's there? And it's a very like, no color to it, just like, who's there? And then the voice answers, この狭い闇の中にあなたの美しさをとどめておくのは惜しい。So, この狭い闇の中に。Kono is this. Semai is like cramped and narrow. Yami no naka is inside the darkness. So in this tiny, cramped, dark space. あなたの美しさ, there's that 美しさ, beauty. をとどめておく. So とどめる is like to kind of to stop, to keep something there, to trap something, to like confine, to imprison something. And then you add the oku, helper verb, to the end of that. This disembodied voice uses the helper verb oku twice, which I recently covered in my Nihongo Su series, so check out that video if you want to learn more about te oku verbs. But basically, if you add the helper verb oku to the end of a verb, it means that you're implying that this verb is being done in preparation for another verb. So your, あなたの美しさ, your beauty をとどめておく. So like confining your beauty in such a cramped, dark place such as this. No wa, so that's basically the same as koto, which changes the whole phrase that was before it into like a concept. So the concept of your beauty being confined to this small, cramped, dark space. No wa. Oshi. So the adjective oshi, I actually, for the longest time, I learned this adjective from context, from watching Sanma no Karakuri Terebi. It's this like variety comedy hour with Sanma, a famous comedian in Japan. But anyway, it involves celebrities guessing a lot of things. They play guessing games. And if they would get close to the answer, he would always say, ah, oshi na, and he'd hand them a little sign that said oshi, which would give them like a sympathy point, basically. If they get the right answer, they get more points. So I always thought oshi meant, ah, so close. It kind of means that. It means like, ah, what a pity. Like, ah, you were so close to getting it, but you didn't get it, and that's a pity. That's kind of what oshi means. So it would be a pity. It would be a damn shame. Like, ah, your beauty could be out in the world, and everyone could be admiring it. Ah, but what a pity for such beauty to be confined to such a small, cramped, dark place. And she's speaking very grandly and poetically. So I translated that whole two-line thing, because I had to separate it into two separate lines. I translated as, you revel in your tiny world, yet to confine your beauty in such darkness is a pity. And maybe I changed it in post. Like I said, I had a lot of, not hardships, it's like a fun hardship, a fun challenge trying to translate poetic Japanese like this. Anyway, Neherenia goes on.
わらわの安らかな眠りを妨げるお前は何者だ。
あなたの願いを叶えるものとだけ言っておきましょう。
わらわの, so わらわ, me, わらわの my, 安らかな, so 安らかな, that's an older, like more poetic version of peace, ease, carefreeness, peace. So yasuraka na nemuri, peaceful sleep. Wo sawatageru. So sawatageru means to disturb. So warawa no yasuraka na nemuri o sawatageru. Omae. So omae is you. And then she's qualifying you, omae, with this other thought. Warawa no yasuraka na nemuri o sawatageru. So you who disturb my peaceful slumber. Wa nanimono da. And again, not dare desu ka? Donata desu ka? It's like, no, nanimono da. So nanimono is kind of a rude way, like, again, this mono, I think this came up in the last episode in this series as well. If you look at the kanji, it's not the same as thing. It's not that mono. It's like, it means person. So nani mono, it's like, who the hell are you? Nani mono da. So who the hell are you? It's kind of rude again. So who are you? How dare you disturb my slumber? If I'd said, who the hell are you? It would, Sailor Moon is a kid's show, and it would be more characters on the screen. We like to keep our subtitles as short as we possibly can while preserving the feeling and the meaning of it. So I just did, who are you? It's very demanding, very blunt, and that's how Neherenia is being. So the mysterious voice answers, Anata no negai wo kanaeru mono to dake itte okimashou. So she's using this oku helper verb again in her sentence, but we'll get to that in a minute. So, anata no negai wo kanaeru. Look at that phrase first. So, kanaeru is the potential form, the can-do form of kanau, which is to grant. So, anata no negai, wish, wo kanaeru. So, can grant your wish, mono. Again, this mono, it means person rather than thing. So, a person who can grant your wish, to dake. So, to you, if you look at the next verb after dake, it's ite, which is to say. So if I said, Anata no negai o kanaeru mono to you, that would mean like, it is said that I am a person who can grant your wish. But to dake you would be all I have to say, or all I'm going to say. Let's just say that I am a person who can grant your wish. And then she's adding the helper verb oku at the end of ite. So ite oku is to say, well, let me just say this. It may become significant later, but for now, let's just say that. Okimashou. Let's just say ite okimashou. For now, let's just say that I am somebody who can grant your wishes. So I translated that as, let's just say I am someone who can make your dreams come true. And I changed it from wishes to dreams because dreams were very significant if you remember the events of Supers. What was that thing they chanted like cultists? Yume, yume miru koto nakare, yume, yume miru kodomo no yume no yume. It's a tongue twister. It's like dream, 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 dream. And dream mirrors and dreams are just very, very huge theme of Supers, and this arc kind of goes with that. So I kind of just continued that by translating negai as dream instead of wish. It kind of means the same thing. Your dreams, your hopes, your dreams, your wishes. So, dreams.
願いだと。
さあ、今その忌々しい封印を解き放って差し上げます。
封印。
And then Neherenia says, 願いだと? So, again, she's not like finishing her sentences with like other verbs and stuff. She's being very blunt and very short with this disembodied voice because she does not respect this voice. She does not think highly of this voice. She is Queen Neherenia. Like, she ain't got time for your shit. Basically, if you were to complete this sentence, it would be negai da to you no ka, or something like that. It's like, oh, to you, question mark, are you saying that it is my dreams? But just negai da to, like, what? My dreams, you say? And then the voice says, sa. So sa is like, well now, come. Ima, sono ima-imashii fuin o tokihanatte sashiagemasu. Ooh, a lot, mouthful. Ooh. So sashiageru at the end, that verb is a very like humble, divine, dignified way of saying you're going to do something for somebody. It does work with that ageru, agemasu, that helper verb. We covered this also recently in my Nihongo 2 series, so check out that video if you want to learn more about ageru and kureru, helper verbs. But sashiagemasu is like to humbly, graciously do a verb for somebody else. So what verb is this disembodied voice doing for Neherenia? Toki hanatte sashi agemasu. So toki hanatsu is to break free. Break free what? Fuin wo. So fuin wo toki hanatsu is to break, literally it's like to break the seal. I hate, this is one of my translator pet peeves, when people translate fuin as seal. It usually should not be translated as seal. I just think of an envelope. Break the seal. I just think of opening an envelope, and that is not at all what it usually means. It usually means somebody is imprisoned, right? And Neherenia is imprisoned right now in her little glass prison, you know, floating around in the dark nothingness where she can be beautiful forever. But she's being imprisoned. That's what a huin, a seal, is. She's being sealed off somewhere. But again, that does not sound at all poetic in English. I think it sounds silly. I think it sounds like envelopes being sealed and breaking the seal. It just doesn't sound poetic or cool or at all what's happening to Neherenia. She's not in an envelope. She's in prison. So anyway, I translated that as break you free from prison rather than break the seal. But let's look at the rest of the sentence. So, fuin o toki hanatte sashiagemasu. That's the second half of the sentence. So the first half is, sa, ima, sono ima-ima-shii fuin. So, sono is that thing of yours, the listener. So your, basically, Neherenia's. Sa, ima, so now, sono, that thing of yours. What thing of hers? Ima-ima-shii fuin. So again, fuin, not seal, prison. Chains, bonds, bindings. Ima-ima-shi means damn or spiteful, hateful. So I translated that whole thought as, now allow me to break you free from that spiteful prison. Again, very like noble and kind of evil sounding. Even though she has such a sweet, beautiful sounding voice, this mysterious disembodied voice, who will become significant later in the series. And then Neherenia says, fuin wo? So again, here's another example where Neherenia isn't really finishing a sentence. This is, you know, not uncommon in Japanese. A lot of Japanese people don't finish their sentences. But again, like the disembodied voice is speaking in complete sentences and being sing-songy and poetic and beautiful and gracious and using helper verbs like sashiagemasu. And Neherenia is like, fuin wo? Nandato, nanimono. She's like just being very blunt back to the disembodied voice because she's Neherenia. So fuin wo. So if she were saying a complete sentence, a verb would come after the wo. Like, you're going to break me from prison. It's like fuin wo toki hanatsu. Dato is like kind of what she'd say if she were completing the sentence, but she's just saying fuin wo. And then she kind of gets cut off also by the glass breaking. So I translated that as break me free. Like, what do you mean? Free from what? Bitch, I'm happy where I am. But she's like, oh my god, what happened? And then she says, kore wa? Which leads me to another translating pet peeve of mine. I hate it when translators translate kore wa as this is ... That is not what it means. It can mean that, but no. It means, where am I? Or what is this? What's going on? It can mean so many different things. It's kore wa, and then there's a bunch of words that are not being spoken. So you have to kind of fill in the blank what words are not being spoken. And she would be saying, kore wa doko? Or like, what is this place, basically? Or where am I? So I translated it as, where am I? What is this place would have worked really well too, but that's too many words and it's a very short soundbite, and I didn't want to take too much time, fill the screen with too many words. These are things you have to consider when you subtitle things. So where am I? Nice and short. All right, back to the girls and Chibiusa. Now the following dialogue exchange is actually pretty simple Japanese. I think most of you will be able to understand this without my even saying what anything means. We'll still go through it, but enjoy this part, enjoy this moment, because I think most of you will be able to just understand most of this already without my help, because it's pretty simple Japanese.
みんな、お見送りありがとう。また来てね。待ってるよ。ダイアナ、ちびうさちゃんをよろしくね。
Chibiusa says, minna miyokuri arigato. So minna, you know what that means. Arigato, you know what that means. Miyokuri, that means to send someone off. So minna, send someone off. Arigato. Hey everyone, thanks for coming to see me off. Ami says, mata kite ne, means please come again, or do come again. I translated that as please come visit. Ami's very polite, right? Mako says, matteru yo. She's less polite, less formal. What does matteru yo mean? Again, this is a basic Japanese word. Matteru, it's from the verb matsu. Yo is that, self-assured, firm particle, like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. So it's like, we'll be waiting for you. It's kind of what that literally means. I just translated that as don't be a stranger, though. It has that stronger, more casual vibe to it. And it has the same implication, like, hey, we're waiting for you to come visit us. Don't be a stranger. Like, you're our friend. You're welcome anytime. And then Luna says, Diana, Chibiusa-chan wo yoroshiku ne. Again, pretty basic Japanese. Yoroshiku is usually what you say when you're meeting someone for the first time or when you're about to work together with someone. It's this very all-purpose kind of word. But if you say X wo yoroshiku, it means like, please take good care of X. So in this case, Diana, Chibiusa-chan wo, so take good care of Chibiusa-chan. Yoroshiku ne, it's like, we have an understanding between us. Ne, you're gonna take good care of Chibiusa. So Diana, take good care of Chibiusa.
キングとクイーンによろしく。帰り道気をつけて。ほら、アルテミス。
And then Ray says, Kingu to queen ni yoroshiku. So now, yoroshiku to some other people, but we're using particle ni. This shows how yoroshiku can take on another meaning. With Chibiusa-chan wo yoroshiku, it was take care of Chibiusa. But king to queen ni yoroshiku means more like give our regards to the king and queen, Endymion and Neo Queen Serenity. Minako-chan says, kaeri michi ki o tsukete. This is also pretty basic Japanese, but you might not quite know it. So kaeri michi means the path home, and then ki o tsukete means be careful. So it's like, have a safe trip home. And then Artemis is like draped over Mina's shoulder, looking away, and she's like, Hora, Artemisu. It's like, come on, Artemis, like, say something. I translated that as, Artemis, say something. And then Artemis goes, Diana, and just sobs.
Otou-sama!
Oi, oi.
Chibiusa, 忘れ物ない?
And then Diana says, Otou-sama, which is the very, very regal way of saying father. Diana, we're not really getting into it in this episode, but oh my god, she annoys me, actually. Like, her speech pattern is so hyper formal and like, I am a formal person. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of annoying. Cute, but annoying. Mako-chan says, oi, oi. I think it's Mako anyway. You can't really see who's talking, but it sounds like her. And she says, oi, oi. Which, I mean, we have this expression, like, Jewish Americans sometimes say oi, oi. Oi, oi is like, whoa there. Hey now. And then Usagi says, Chibiusa. Chibiusa says, yeah. And then Usagi says, wasuremono nai? This is another very, very common expression that you're going to hear, especially if you're on a train, and like a Shinkansen in particular, the announcer will say like, wasuremono ga nai yoni, like, make sure you haven't forgotten anything, basically. And it's kind of their way of asking, like, are you sure you have everything? Or are you ready to go? And I translate it as, are you ready to go? And then Chibiusa says, yeah.
またおいで。
And then Mamoru says, mata oide. Again, this mata again. Oide is come to us. So come to us again. Basically, come visit again soon. And then Chibiusa, And she's just saying left and right here. And I translated that as, I will, because yeah sounds kind of weird in response to come visit us again soon. And then she says, minna, arigatou ne. So that was it for this installment of Watch Sailor Stars Learn Japanese. I hope to see you all next month when we look at Chibiusa using her time key. There's a lot of like old poetic cool sounding Japanese there. There's going to be more Neherenia and the disembodied voice also in the next installment. So I hope to see you next time. Thank you to all of the patrons who support this series in particular. You can sign up on my Patreon at various different tiers, and there are various different perks that you can get. I recently redid my perks, so you can sign up as little as $2 a month and receive extra Sailor Moon bonus material in your inbox every month from me, as well as vote for this series with your dollars. So, hope to see you next time. 月の光は愛のメッセージ。